Live. And you're live.
All right. So we're going to do the roll call. Tom Keegan,
Here.
John Kides will be not here. George Sirenides,
Here.
Manny Langella, here. Kadeem Roberts,
Present.
George Theodorides. And I am here. All right, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, and John will show up later. Okay. Anyone here for public participation?
That would be me. Jeff DeWitt from the Military Veterans Liaison Committee in Norwalk.
Jeff, you could speak when your item comes up for
Okay.
discussion.
Okay.
And is the other person here too, Ken? For one of the other items?
I
Go on.
can't see. They
Okay.
should be, yes.
Okay. All right, so there's no one other than the folks who are on the agenda that is here to speak. Okay, so we'll close that. Any old business? We have none, so on to new business. Item 5, new business. The city of Norwalk reserves the right to cancel the event for public health or safety reasons as determined by the city of Norwalk in its sole discretion. The city of Norwalk shall not be liable for damages arising from the cancellation of the event. 5.1, approve the use of Cranberry Park, Pavilion 1 and immediate surrounding grounds by Cycling Sports Group, Inc. for the summer barbecue to be held Friday, August 13, 2021, from 12 noon to 3 p.m. Estimated attendance, 150. Would like to move the item?
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Councilman. Okay, and is that the gentleman here to speak to that item? Is anyone here?
Or is Joyce just?
We do have one member of the public with the digital hands raised.
Okay,
Duwan Wiggins.
no, so,
That's
no, to the first item that we just read. Is there anyone here to speak to that? Ken, do we know?
they should be. They were all given the invite and confirmed.
I got the best they had,
Right. That's only.
which is same diameter, same thread.
Hello?
Oh, so you didn't try it yet?
No, I haven't.
I'm hearing another
Oh,
conversation. Ken, is there hello, is there anyone here on the call? Please raise your hand with the little icon if you're here to speak to the first item regarding the Cycling Sports Group, Inc. Okay, so no one is here to speak to that.
This is an event that we've had in the past. I'll leave it up to the committee in terms of what you want to do, being that nobody, showed up onto the Zoom meeting.
The only issue becomes is timing. So our next meeting,
Correct, right?
cutting it closer, we won't make it actually, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't make it.
We wouldn't make it. So I'm a little concerned by that because they were informed, correct?
Correct.
So what have we done in situations like this, particularly when there's not enough time? And Ken, what is your sense of this event?
If it was a new event or something a bit more involved, then I would
Mhm.
say maybe we table it until the next meeting. But being that this is a repeat event and it's really only a celebration barbecue, I would
Okay.
recommend that the committee does approve. And it does not need to go ahead to the full council.
Okay, right, because of the number. So
Correct.
I would then just, you can vote on it. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Or does anyone have any questions? I'm not hearing anybody.
Ken, how many years have they been doing this now?
I think this will be the fourth.
Never had any problems, right?
Right.
No.
I'm an aye.
Tom?
Aye, Kadeem Roberts.
As well, Madam Chair, I'm an aye.
Okay, and you too, Kadeem? Mr.
Yes,
Roberts?
Madam Chair.
All right. So that's approved.
And Madam Chair, item 2 is removed. The applicant pulled the application.
Correct. All right. On to item 3.5.3, approve the use of Springwood Park by Youth Business Initiative, YBI Inc. for a 3-on-3 tournament to be held Saturday, July 24th, 2021 from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. Estimated attendance, 90 people. Would like to move the item?
I will, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Roberts. So I think we have Mr. Wiggins here to speak to that.
His hand is raised. Do we have to allow him in or?
Yeah, I'm guessing so.
Yes,
never
I
know
am
what
gonna go ahead
someone's
and
gonna be like.
enable the capability of talking. You have the floor.
All right.
Hello, you guys hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
Mr. Wiggins, how are you?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing well. So would you like to just explain a little bit, give some background information on your program and the event?
So our program, basically what we do, we are located at 68 South Main Street. It's called the Youth Business Initiative. And basically what we do is we teach youth business with a hands-on experience. We have about 14 students right now that currently enrolled in our program. 8 of them went through, well, probably 10 of them went through our first sector of our program, which was dissecting business. Now they're in our curriculum program, where we have 14 in our curriculum program. Our students get about $150 a week in stipends to learn business, right? But we hold them accountable, so we don't want them to just think that, money is really the incentive. So we challenge them to do the right things with that money that they receive. And then the last sector is our apprenticeship program, where we actually build in businesses. Right now it's great because they're in teams. It's 3 teams, and they're building 3 mock food trucks. So it's a great idea that there's great ideas that they came up with, and they're going through all the formulas of starting their own business. So the point of the 3-on-3 basketball tournament, it's a few points. One, it's a fundraiser event. We're trying to raise funds to continue to fund our program, but also bring together community, right? We have a bunch of community providers that's interested, a bunch of businesses sponsoring, and people of all races. I think it's really important to use that landmark to show, like people are in these communities are human as well, and in different races to be able to come together and bring back community. This was something that we had when I was growing up. This was something that was, prevalent for me, but we just made it a bigger thing in trying to get people to come out and enjoy themselves. So that's what the 3-on-3 basketball tournament is about. That's kind of self-explanatory. They'll be just playing basketball. Different age groups. You have 10 to 13 age group, which is middle school. Then you have 14 to 17, which is high school. And then you have 18 and up, which is adults.
And so how many years have you been doing this?
Well, we're a new organization where we just started our organization close to 2 years now. But the event, this is our first actual event. We actually, tested before, which was a success, but this is our actual first event.
Great.
Mr. Wiggins, I know you're going through the special event process also, and there's been some discussion about parking.
Yep.
Have you come to the conclusion on how you're going to handle parking?
Yeah, we spoke with I think his name is Adams, the executive director of the Housing Authority.
Yep, Adam Bovilsky.
Yeah, so I spoke with him, and we came to a conclusion that we're going to just hire an officer to patrol that area and make sure people have their permits because you're supposed to have permit parking. So we don't want to overwhelm Luna Court parking, but we're gonna have a system to where we're gonna have balloons set up in the back so they can follow the parking. We have way more than enough space of parking in the field area where people already usually park for the tennis tournament back in Springwood Park. And also we have Odyssey parking available. And I talked to the mayor about that because he reached out to me about that too. And we don't want that to be a problem for the residents of Luna Court. So that's something that me and Adam went over and talked about.
Okay, and have you finished the special event process yet online?
Literally, the only people I'm waiting for is the police department. I spoke with, I left a message with the sergeant, Jelangela, what's her name?
Sophia Galino?
Yes, Galino. I keep forgetting her name. So I'm waiting for her to reach back. I actually went over there this morning, but she was busy. So I'm waiting for her to reach back. If you don't reach back by the end of the week, I'm gonna speak to the chief and see if we can kind of push that ahead so I could not only hire an officer but get that stuff approved.
Okay, you can also-
I would suggest, Mr. Wiggins, if you don't hear from her by tomorrow, right? Because this event is when?
The
Okay, you have the
24th.
following week. Okay, so you do have some time. It's not as close.
Mhm.
Okay,
And you can also put notes on the special event application, and that email will be disseminated to everybody involved. So everybody will see your questions. So if you do need help, that's a good way to get help.
Okay, perfect. But those are literally, I have, everything is green except that, in which has to be approved from the officers and Parks and Recs. So those are the last things I have to get approved.
Correct. And if it's approved tonight, then that'll turn green also.
Yep.
anyone have any further questions for Mr. Wiggins?
I do know, I see in the city what Mr. Wiggins is doing, so I definitely want to applaud him to start his business. His actual nonprofit is amazing, and what he's doing in the city with the youth is amazing as well. So definitely for this to be a first event and to see how the work ethic that you're putting forward, Mr. Wiggins, is amazing. And once you get those kinks situated, I know this is going to be a wonderful event.
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
I have a question. You mentioned, so are you going to be parking on the grass in the field behind at Springwood?
Yes, they already use that for parking. They actually been doing it for years. So they have like a tennis league back there.
Yep.
And they use that for parking.
So you're going to have someone like helping people park and make sure that.
Yep, we have a whole plan for that. We have a designated person. We're going to use cones as well, but we have a designated person specifically for that area, so it won't be, any hectic things going on. It's really pretty simple. We just leaving spaces between the cars so they can have a way to back out and just leave if they want to leave. So it's no one like
It's
directly
trapped.
behind each other. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. And you said 90 people. Is that 90 people within the basketball tournament, the players and your staff, or your 90
So
people?
it's hard to estimate, and this was something that was brought up, I think, by who was it? It was someone in the special events that's brought that up.
Mhm.
But like we said, it's going to be waves of people. So no one's going to be there at the same time, mostly because like the families and spectators of the youth is usually going to stay there just during the youth part of the tournament. The same with the high school and the same with the adults.
Perfect. So whatever the age group is, they'll play, and then usually, some will leave, and then the next
Yeah.
group, and then,
Yeah.
okay. People aren't going to stay there through the whole,
Yeah.
I mean, they could if they want to, but usually.
But I hardly doubt it. I'm pretty sure it's going to be a hot day.
Hot day. Right. Okay. Well, anyone else have any questions for Mr. Wiggins?
Hmm.
So I just want to echo with what Council Member Robert said. You pull this together. You've been working hard, trying to provide these opportunities for young people in our city. And I applaud you as well for your efforts. And you've been sticking with it, and it's a good thing. And I know that the other event you held, you did pretty well with that. And I'm sure the same will happen with this. So, so we can take a vote on this.
Yeah, Darlene, if I may,
sorry.
I just
Sure.
want, I just want to say good luck to Mr. Wiggins with his tournament. I think it's a great idea, and I hope it just he knocks the socks off him. That's all.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
I agree. Best of luck. Best of luck, Mr. Wiggins.
I'd like to echo the same sentiments. And for the record, I'm sorry I was late, Chairwoman. We just got off a District C meeting, so sorry,
Okay.
everyone.
All right. So we take a vote. All in favor?
Yes.
Say-
Aye.
Okay, yes.
I, Kadeem Roberts.
All right. Tom was a yes.
Yes.
Kenny? George?
Yes.
All right. You got it, Mr. Wiggins.
Thank
Good
you.
luck.
I
All right.
appreciate it so much.
And
Thank-
please do what Ken, what Mr. Hughes suggested. If we could help in any way by helping you get the police to sign off on that, just copy us so that we can see where you are.
All right, thank you. I'll do that.
All right.
All right.
So we're moving on to number 6, discussion. Number 1, Purple Heart Monument Proposal, Veterans Park discussion and possible action. Ken?
Sure, we have a Mr. Jeff DeWitt here who wants to give a brief presentation on what this is about.
Okay.
I'll make it as brief as possible. I do have some slides. I put something together, thought it would illuminate what I'm trying to do. So let me see here. So I got a pop-up when I try to share my screen. It says the host disabled participant screen sharing. So if you could
Anthony,
open
can you
that up
allow
for me
him to
do
share
that.
his screen, Anthony? Anthony?
Oh, granted, I'm sorry, I was muted.
Okay,
You should be able to share your screen now.
thank you.
Thank you. So the project I'm interested in implementing in Norwalk is to create a monument in Veterans Park to honor our combat wounded from Norwalk. So it's a Purple Heart monument, and a little background on it. There are 120 known recipients from Norwalk. And these are the wars they were engaged in. Branch of service. These are just trivia more than anything else. But these are people that lived here, worked here, raised families here. So what I did in the beginning of last year, sent an application to the Connecticut Military Order of the Purple Heart to designate Norwalk a Purple Heart City. That application was approved. There was an event held on August 7th, National Purple Heart Day in 2020, where we went through the list of recipients and gave families an opportunity to speak to each other and share their veteran story. And a proclamation was read that day by Mayor Rilling, establishing that as Purple Heart Day in Norwalk. So one of my final comments at that event in August 2020 was, if I get my way, I'd love to see a monument or a memorial to our combat wounded somewhere in Norwalk. So it took me a little while to kind of put that to the top of my to-do list. And in March, I started looking into monument design. I came up with one that was approved by the Military Veterans Liaison Committee. And the first step in this process to get approved in Norwalk was to have the Arts Commission approved. And they did that via a Zoom meeting in June 21. So moving on. These are some designs from around the country that we considered. Very, very differing designs, some in a kind of a landscape, some in a portrait design, the two on the left, kind of tall standing. We landed on the one from the National Purple Heart Museum in Vales Gate, New York, which is in the lower right. And next slide, I'll kind of explain that. So we chose this design because it is a mirror of what the National Purple Heart Museum is doing. And we did elect to do some modifications to their design, which is in the picture there. We prefer to have the logos of each branch of service on the base, and where it says erected by the Military Order of the Purple Heart in that picture, based on feedback from the Arts Commission, they wanted something on there that the city of Norwalk, about the city of Norwalk. So the language that we've put into the proposal is from the grateful residents of Norwalk. And next slide. The location, there's this walkway on Seaview Avenue that goes up to the bathrooms in the middle of the park there, and soccer fields left and right, baseball, softball left and right. Kind of side note, you know, my long-term vision of this walkway, and I'm thinking 10, 15 years out, is to really build this up. Maybe a monument to each ward that Norwalk residents served in, but the first one would be this Purple Heart monument dedicated to our combat wounded from Norwalk. Next slide will show you kind of a street view of it. So I brought Ken Hughes out to the site, and he seemed to like the idea. He even incorporated an idea of a bench, kind of a reflection bench, where the monument's facing the sidewalk, and you get a moment to sit down and kind of reflect on what's happening. And so that's roughly where it is from a ground view. We sourced this out to one vendor. We tried to keep it in Norwalk, and I don't know Norwalk business rules about there's a certain dollar threshold where you need 3 quotes, that sort of thing. I'd be happy to go out and do that, but Bates is in town, and I thought I would keep the business local. And this is their quote, and I can send this whole PowerPoint presentation and a better copy of the quote to the entire committee if that's what's needed. The memorial itself is, as you see, 24, and there was a little bit of a delay in presenting to this committee. We weren't sure who was going to set the concrete foundation. We didn't know if that was City of Norwalk or what that was. And based on feedback from Ken, who's been tremendous on this and several other veteran related events, I appreciated Ken. He suggested that you just have the monument company do the whole thing. And so that's the ticket there. And so there's if you're interested in this sort of thing, this is the website to go to read about the 120 Norwalk residents that were awarded the Purple Heart Medal for wounds related to combat against an enemy known to the United States, and simply trying to honor that.
If you could send that to us, that would be great. Does anyone have any questions for Mr. DeWitt?
I just want to say thank you, Mr. DeWitt, for putting in all the time and effort, and I think that's a great idea. We do have a very proud history in Norwalk of many residents that have served, and thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure.
So Jeff, let me ask in terms of funding. Do you have funding on your end, or are you looking for funding from the city? What's your intent in terms of getting it done?
So that's a great question. And so the roots of this committee go back to the Norwalk Veteran Memorial Committee, which was chartered 25, 30 years ago to basically present 4 events each year to the city. And that's the Memorial Day Parade, Veterans Day at City Hall, the Veterans Memorial Ceremony at the Shea McGrath Monument, and that's 3rd Sunday in May every year. And we do cemetery visits and put flags up where they're needed. And so that committee, Mayor Rilling 3 years ago wanted a committee to address larger veteran issues like this. And so that committee is now a subcommittee of the Military Veterans Liaison Committee, and the source of the funding has always been for the last 25 or 30 years, kind of a line item or a series of, as I look at my sticky on the side here, 5 cost codes under rec and parks. So if I need flags for a cemetery, that's rec and parks. I file a voucher, and whoever bought the flags gets either reimbursed or we find another method to reimburse them. This is a big ticket, and I understand that at 26,000 plus. When I consider the fact that Norwalk really held no events last year, we did pull off a Veterans Day event, which was a low-cost event in 2020, and then the Veterans Memorial Ceremony in May of this year. I think we haven't really tapped over the last 2 or 3 years, haven't done a lot with the budget that we do have. And I don't know if Ken can address that a little better, but I'd hate to go down the road of trying to sell bricks and have the public pay for this. I think it's something the city of Norwalk should own. And Mayor Rilling did make a comment at the event in August 2020 that he might have some money to put a down payment on that, and whatever that means, we're grateful. But how to source the rest of that money is kind of up to the committee, and if there isn't a budget for it, then we have to get creative about funding it. And the last thing I want to do in my last comment is start a GoFundMe page to fund a Purple Heart monument in Norwalk, when city is well known for embracing veterans and those that have served. So I'm just hoping that there's money somewhere for this, and that's my final comment.
Have you had any discussions yet with anybody about the finances in terms of, okay,
No, kind of a double fingers crossed thing. Yeah.
okay. Because what I can do tomorrow is I can look through the budget and see what's available. July 1 is the end of our budget year. So typically it's a use it or lose it kind of mantra on the side of the city. So, depending on what's left, I might have to do some finagling to see if we can carry over some funding. And then I can always see what we have left prior year in addition to this year. And then we'll see where we are.
I just hate to see this committee or these types of things pay a penalty for 2020, a COVID year where we didn't spend the money because we couldn't use it or lose it. Well, we couldn't use it. So don't penalize us FY20 into FY21.
I'm on your side. I'm on your side with that.
So Ken, help me to understand what pool of monies you two are talking about. So
we have under our budget,
go ahead.
we have a Veterans Affair organization, what we call the org, and then under that, there's 5 or 6 different line items under Veterans Affairs. I can't tell you
That
dollar amounts.
Yeah. Do you know an average of what that usually comes out to?
Yeah, you know what? I don't even, because I never really controlled that. It was just put under our budget kind of as a placeholder, but it was always under the auspice of Karen Lyons and now Jeff to spend it. So I never, we never spent out of that account. So I'd have to really take a look at the budget tomorrow, and I can email the committee on what's in there currently, and then what's in there with the new budget starting fiscal year July 1. And then we can always have a conversation with the mayor in terms of additional funding.
Okay. But that usually has just been something that's a dollar amount has been added to it, applied to it in our budgets.
Correct. That money's has always been there to I think Karen used to buy flowers and flags and like coffee for the parade and things that have to do with the veteran events.
Okay.
I can vouch for the fact that there's never been an ask for this amount out of the committee. Typically, round number to run the 4 events in the city, probably 5,000 to do those 4 events, and we never use it all. I mean, we have there's an advertising budget, there's business expenses, recreational supplies, there's a postage line item that never gets used, that it actually have ideas about that, but and then other professional services, whatever that means, that's the that's up to the cost accounting and the comptroller's office and that sort of thing.
Right.
I know in the military, there's a thing called colors of money. You can't use money to pay people to fund an airplane. And I get that. I don't see tapping into somebody else's budget to pay for this. I just don't know if there's a miscellaneous account somewhere that might be able to be used to get this off the ground. That's it.
It might be interesting too, if the Arts Commission has any money, something to contribute. I don't know if they operate on a
Historical Society, another one.
historical society, right. There might be some other opportunities. Okay.
But thank you for your time.
Well, I have to echo my fellow council members' comments. Mr. DeWitt, thank you for all of your efforts with this. It's an honorable thing to actually remember and honor our veterans. I had a son who was in the military as well, so I completely understand that. And so I thank you.
You're welcome.
So Ken, anyone else have anything that they want to say? No? Okay. So I guess we will just have to follow up with this. So you had no specific time frame in mind. I mean, the sooner the better, of course. But I think we'll just stay on top of this, and as a committee, we'll figure out how we can make this happen.
Yeah, definitely no time frame. As stewards of the city's money, I understand that this
Right.
is potentially an issue, and yes, sooner than later, but within the right time frame and the threshold and the business rules of the city as well.
Right. Great.
And Jeff, can you email me that budget
You got it.
for the monument?
Okay.
I'm gonna sign off then. Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Jeff.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Have a good night.
So 6.2, Code of Norwalk, Connecticut Department of Recreation and Parks, discussion and possible action on section 1-10, permit 7B. You got the floor. Anyone want, we don't have to move that item. Want to go ahead, Ken?
Sure. So, Madam Chair, included in your packet, this is actually the code of the Department of Recreation and Parks. It's a document which exists, which not many people really know it exists. And this sort of guides the operations of the Rec and Parks Department. And one of the things that we do through your committee is we approve events throughout the city. And if you look at section 1-10 under permits, line number 7, that outlines the applications for permits in terms of the number of people. And that's what we follow as a guide. So one of the complaints that I've heard since I've been here was that of us having to approve weddings. There'll be times on our agenda, we have 6, 7, weddings. And I don't think I've ever heard a council member question the wedding. So the people would drive sometimes from all over the state, come to our meeting, sit there for 1 to 2 minutes, get approved and leave, and then have to come back to the common council. So after some internal discussions, I'm just actually going to propose that we still stick with our typical event approval process, but we just omit weddings and civil unions. So what I did is I changed item 7B. So groups of 101 to 500 inhabitants shall obtain application and submit date 60 days prior to the event and submit all requirements 30 days prior to the event. The application requires approval of the director, the Recreation and Parks Committee. Weddings and civil unions do not require approval of the Recreation and Parks Committee unless required by the director. So a simple change, but I think it really benefits those using our city facilities for weddings and civil unions. And it will also help with the committee agendas. Wouldn't be lengthy, in the months that we have 7, 8, or 9 weddings. That being said, one of the things that we are going to look at when we do the master plan of parks is to possibly revamp a lot of items in this code. If you did have time, read through it. There are a lot of things that are out to date and need to be updated. But for now, this is kind of the low-hanging fruit and a simple change, I think, which would have a big effect on our operations.
Ken, do we need to vote on this to adopt it?
Yeah, I believe so, being that we are changing our code. And I would also bring it to the full council also.
So John, I think thank you for joining us. I think you were part of that meeting that we had, or initial conversations we had about just the whole process, because we've had over the past couple of months, where events come to us after they've been approved, like the folks have gone through the permitting process. And so, it just calls into question, if we decided we didn't want to approve that item, then what? So we really had a little conversation about how do we streamline the whole process of organizations coming to Recreation and Parks for permission and approval, plus the permitting process and what that entails, and how do we streamline it? Because we all know we had a couple of those where we had to have emergency meetings to kind of approve an event that went through the process, right? And to and then have someone tell us that they really didn't need to do that. And so the first, as Ken said, low hanging fruit were the weddings. Because as Ken mentioned, the folks who do the weddings, it's a lot. It's a lot just to even go through that process in office, in staff, in house, and then to have these folks come out. And the only way a wedding would come before us, as if if there were some outrageous or some over the top kind of request for a wedding, right?
Correct. So that still leaves it open, so unless required by the director. So the
Right.
director would still have the opportunity to bring it before the committee if there's something they're not so comfortable with or they want you guys to know about.
All right, I mean, yeah, and that makes complete sense. And Madam Chair, if I'm not out of line, I'd like to call for a motion to add this item to the agenda to be adopted.
Oh, absolutely. Well, absolutely. So anyone else have any comments? Nope. All
I
right.
agree.
So we're going to move that motion to add the revised section as presented to us. Well, it's section 1-10 of permit 7B.
Correct.
If I may suggest that, Ken, perhaps you get that language to Darlene, just so, she could have the specifics.
I will.
No, we're going to do that.
You have it in front of you. I'm going to read it.
Right.
So we're adding to section 1-10 permits, item 7B. We are adding weddings and civil unions do not require approval of the Recreation and Parks Committee unless required by the director.
All in favor of that motion?
I believe first, Madam Chair, if I may, that we first need to vote.
Approve the change. Vote for the change?
To vote to add the item and then vote on the item itself.
Well, that's what I said. Vote to add that, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. Okay, John.
I just had 2 chili dogs. I apologize.
Thank you. So the first motion was to add section 1-10 permit 7B. I'm gonna read it again. Weddings and civil unions do not require approval of the Recreation and Parks Committee unless, right? Required by the director. We're adding that.
And I think it means you have to pull it off as a discussion item and add it to the actual agenda and then vote on it.
I think he means you just need to suspend the rules, Darlene.
Yes.
Oh my God. Okay, so we're going to suspend the rules to add the changes as presented to us for action according to section 1-10 of the permits -7B.
Yes, perfect.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, John Keegan, yes.
Aye.
Okay. So now the actual action, right? The actual item.
We have to
Right.
vote on it. Yes.
Okay, so we're gonna approve the changes to the Code of Norwalk, Connecticut Department of Recreation and Parks, Section 1-10 permits, number 7B. We're adding 7B. Weddings and civil unions do not require approvals of the Recreation and Parks Committee unless required by the director.
I'll move that.
Okay? All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
Tom
Okay.
Keating.
There we go. Done.
Perfect.
Fifth time is the charm. All right, so I think that is it. Can I have a
Wait,
question?
Darlene, did we vote on the minutes?
I thought we did. No, maybe we didn't.
Can we just do that quick?
Yep. So we're gonna go back to item number 2. Motion to approve the minutes of June 9th, 2021.
Motion, Madam Chair, Kadeem Roberts.
Okay,
Second, Manny Langella.
okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
Opposed, abstentions? Was everyone here then? Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dwayne.
Thank you.
So I have a question about the 2 things. I know you and I talked about it. Do you have any update on where we are with the Recreation and Parks Director position?
Yeah, so I was told that they're gonna start interviewing probably the 3rd week of July. So by the time they go through the interview process, that'll probably take a week and a half, 2 weeks, make an offer accepted. So best case scenario, you're probably looking end of August, beginning of September for a new director.
All right. And where are we with the master plan study?
Master plan, the contract is finished with Kimley Horn. They're wrapping up a few projects. So probably 2 to 3 weeks, they'll start on the city of Norwalk. They want to spend all their energy on one project at a time, which I understand and I want them to.
Okay.
So, we waited this long, so a few extra weeks is not gonna hurt.
All right. Anybody have any other questions or comments? All right. I have a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
All in
Awesome.
favor? Aye. Okay, thank you, guys. Thank you.
Everyone, have a good night.
Have a good night.
Have a good
Have a good
night.
night.
Good night, everyone.
Take care.